welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, I am J Cool. I post interesting videos such as daily news, entertainment, filming, so you need to subscribe.
Seeing a woman in such a high position and everything, and the person that I relate to at a personal level very well, I would really defend the minister and the ministry to say, let's give her time, you know, but I don't know, because at some point I also felt, it was my personal decision, I felt like the UPND were fighting Honorable Syvia Masebo, okay? And that is why we saw even all those scandals in the papers. So for me, I took it like they were not scared, you know, to destroy the health sector by fighting this woman, okay? So no wonder at first I would say, no, where are all these things coming out from, you know, in terms of the scandals and everything? Exactly, you know, so I would question myself. If you look at even her being given a wrong speech at that time, I was like, where are all these things coming from, you know? But for me, I've reached a point whereby I'm thinking, if they don't want her there, they might as well remove her from there. Let them give her another ministry, another ministry, and put somebody they want at the Ministry of Health. Because the scandals.
Do you feel she's being sabotaged? Or she's incompetent? Yes. What are your reflections?
I'll be very honest with you. Honorable Syvia Masebo is one of the most hardworking members of the UPND, that I can tell you.
And she's previously a Minister of Health.
Yes, exactly. She's one of the most competent people I know in the UPND. Very hardworking, very hands-on, but she has just failed to tick at the ministry. So the issue of sabotage, I strongly believe that, okay? The issues of incompetence, that I don't know. You get the point? So is it the competence also adding to that, or it's an issue of sabotage? I really don't know. But one thing that I can see from afar is the issue of sabotage. She's really being fought, that's a fact. She's a person that is highly being fought within the UPND, you know? So if they don't want her at that ministry, let them remove her. Even as women, we are saying this thing where we always stand up and say, no, leave her, she's a woman. I mean, they can't keep on risking the lives of Zambians like this, you know, because enough is enough, really. You know, there are so many other ministries that she can do a very good job at. She can go maybe, let's say, to local government, where Honorable Nkombo is messing up, who is, you know...
Is your brother and neighbor Nkombo messing up?
Another hard-working minister, another one I get along with very well.
Yeah.
But local government, I just don't know what's going on. The other time
and for example, they are totally absent from this fight. This fight of cholera, local government is supposed to be leading the fight with Ministry of Health. The three frontline officers are DMMU, local government, especially that the cholera outbreak is countrywide. So you need local government fully activated. And then, of course, Ministry of Health for its competencies.
Oh, yeah. No, we do need that.
And we have seen Honorable Gary Nkombo totally absent. I saw one single statement the other day, but he's absent. The local authorities are totally absent. You can't see their supervisor in Honorable Gary Nkombo. Maybe it reflects the state of cabinet, where people wait for the president to give instructions, to give directives, and maybe they are threatened or they can't take a risk because they feel that the president, you know, might come and embarrass them or blast them. Or do you find the president who's micromanaging a cabinet? And you'll have few ones who are brave like Syvia Masebo, who would even, you know, then begin to work alone. The president definitely has been micromanaging all ministries, you know, that's a fact. I remember somebody the other time was telling me to say, even when you write your programs at a ministry level, you have to go present them, you know, at State House, you know, things like that. So from the very onset, the president is involved. So meaning that even when you fail, it seems that has failed. You get the point, yes. So the president has to allow people to plan and allow them to fail. You know, so that even when they fail, he's able to make a certain decision. So what he does is supervisory function.
Exactly. But he's too involved. So the micromanagement really is not working well. I remember there's a time when I wrote an article on Facebook where I wrote to say the president is really micromanaging people, and I wrote how people were scared of him in the opposition, and right now it's worse, because even in the opposition, I would say... In the opposition,
you are a member of the UPND. People were afraid of the president.
They were so afraid of the president, yes, that's a fact. They were so afraid. There were very few people like myself that were not afraid. No wonder even when I said the Women's Day thing, you know, after they said whatever, I had to call Chipo Manawas, I called Syvia Masebo, because I knew that these women, at least we can go and talk to him. Afterwards, even when we went to see him, I remember one of the people that we got along at the time was Mrs. Zulu, who's the current DC for Lusaka. So I went to see him. And what would happen in the UPND? You go see the president and everybody freezes.
Wow.
So instead of telling him what you need to say,
He
starts
begins to
talking
lecture
and-
to you.
and
Which
if-
we
and
hear
if you're
that
talking for 2 hours, yes.
literally happens even in cabinet
That's what it
meetings.
does even in cabinet, yes.
Yeah, he's the only voice and people are just listening
He's
to
the
him.
only voice, yes. So you go see him and he's talking for 2 hours, and if you're not careful, you leave. The meeting will end without you having said anything.
why you even went
Exactly, yes. So I remember we went to a community house and he was talking. For me, I'd always wait until he puts a full stop. When he puts a full stop, I come in. I'm like, sir, yes, what you have said, ABCD, ABCD, we agree with you, but, you know, I remember one of the things that he never believed in was the issues of chitenges. No, we can't do chitenges. When we form government, we're going to build roads and hospitals and everything, so we can't do chitenges. So I'm like, but sir, first of all, there's women's land we need to match. How are we going to form government if we don't do chitenges? Because first and foremost, you have to play the game. You know, give people what they want, and then when you form government, you do what you want in terms of programs and everything. So we spoke and, okay, yes, yes. And I remember when you talk, you'd actually listen, okay? So every time we'd leave, I remember Mrs. Zulu herself, the current DC, would always say, you know what, every time we go see the president, Savoy should always be there. Yes.
Because they recognize your quality to stand up to him and bring the agenda to be participatory.
Exactly, yes. Honorable myself would always say, Savoy, speak to your husband. So, you know, so there would always be all those tactics and everything. But one thing I realize is that sometimes people are just so scared of him. So even when you can actually tell the president to say, sir, this is and that, they would keep quiet. So people like myself, I would wait for the right time. He puts his full stop there, and then you come in and you say what it is that you need to say. So when I wrote my article, for example, to say people are so scared of him in the opposition, and I'd always say, imagine him with the instruments of power. What are we going to do? You know, and that's exactly what has happened. Yes. So now with the instruments of power, people are very scared of him.
In fact, coming to that,
you know,
a lot of people have complained about, you know, some of us just call him a dictator because we want his will to prevail.
Yeah.
But obviously, there's a one-track-minded approach to many things. His way or no way at all.
Yes.
Could this contribute to the current failures? Yes. I think there's a lot of disappointment by Zambians that, number one, he was very high-sounding, very knowledgeable in opposition. He provided alternative solutions and proposed policy changes. So now he's been president for 2.5 years. And the country is literally collapsing apart. Look at the health sector, the economic sector, social sector. All sectors are failing. The economy is very bad. We are experiencing one of the worst, highest cost of living. What could be the problem? What is your reflection on that?
Again, I'll be very honest with you. UPND, apart from President HH offering all those solutions, UPND had a very good media in the opposition. Okay, I was part of that media, so I know what used to happen. Most of the statements, the president would not even know that statement had gone out. Okay, so we sat and would write and would research and everything, and you're putting things out there. You know, so there was an aspect of that. Then an aspect also of things that he himself was passionate about, research, and would talk, you know, issues to do with the economy, agriculture, and various other issues, you know. And like I said, a lot of other issues, again, you'd write down, you do your policy briefs and everything, and you give to the president. So the media of the UPND was actually very good. Because every day you'd wake up, you'd read the papers as part of the media, and you see all the topical issues that are being discussed and everything, and you respond according to that. You know, I remember myself and Hamasaga, one of those two people that would write statements for the president, and would write, and sometimes we don't even know that the statements are out there. You get the point, huh? So other people, you know, Dr. Monanyanda, who's now at State House, you know, a good number of people would come and write all these policy briefs, be it on gender, be it on health, education. You did your research, you know. And then also, you know, there were now other guerrilla media that came in now, like
the rogue media.
The rogue media, the watchdog and everything. Now they were doing all those propaganda stuff of theirs. So he was really covered by a set of people. An effective media, yes. So that was a part of it. And then having been in opposition for a very long time, he had his issues. You know, I think he planned more for the opposition than even planned for governance, yes. So we saw that even when he won, the man was basically not prepared. You know, look at his cabinet, for example. He kept on making promises. I'm delaying because of the kind of people that I'm going to choose. Just wait for the cabinet. And then we waited. And then boom. And then we're like, what?
Is this the reason we waited for that one, for this one?
For this one? No. You can do better than this, you know? And then we waited. Okay, ambassadors, what? And And they're like, okay, I think these guys just don't have enough human resource, you know, they just didn't have a plan and stuff like that. So for me, basically, that was really the biggest problem, the lack of planning. Where you plan so much for B and then A happens and you're shocked.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. And why is the country in this state? We are in various crises.
The country is in this state because the president doesn't want to listen, you know. He doesn't want to listen, and also he's not learning, you know. I think statecraft is about learning, you know. You offer yourself as a president, you know, people vote for you, and then you have to learn just from the system point of view. They have to teach you certain things. The president to me appears like he's unteachable, you know. That is why I always give an example of his salute, just the simple thing of a salute. As Zambians, we salute like this. British, he salutes like this. American, like John Cena.
Yes.
I'm sure he loves wrestling so much. Every time, like, president, please.
You know,
the issue just, you remember just the whole thing of the UPND, and this was only 4 months old, you know, and they said, I want to be part of building a new political party. So if you look at the constitution of the NDC, for example, the manifesto, a good number of us are part of the people that did that. Because that's when we joined, we're like, no, this constitution is not good enough. So we start. Funny enough, Mr. Kafumba and I were amongst the people that were in the forefront of changing the NDC constitution. You know, the manifesto we sat, because NDC had engaged experts at UNZA and everything, and we said, no, you don't need experts, we can do it ourselves.
We know, we're politicians, we know what we want.
Yes. Experts sometimes can do their copy and paste, but us, of course, we have the expertise from the other side, and members of the party, we have the heart of the NDC. So we sat and we came up with very good documents of the party, you know. And funny enough, again, Mr. Kafumba, one of the things which he went to court for, he claimed that NDC does not have a constitution, which was part of reviewing himself, you know. So forming another political party, really, it's neither here nor there, because it takes a lot of things. And where the NDC is, by the way, because politics is not only about participating in elections, coming on TV and radio and everything. There's an issue also of recognition, both by the public and international organizations. And NDC, having grown so fast, we used to call ourselves as the baby born with teeth, you know, like we're the fastest growing party at that time. So just international organizations, and I remember myself being the chairperson of Gender at the time, and having worked with a lot of NGOs. There were many parties that were formed before NDC, but because of the works we were doing, we were now attached to many of these political parties, okay, and organizations. So if you look at an organization, let's say the Women's Lobby, there's this platform they have. NDC was the only new party which was put on the platform. We worked with organizations like Women and Law in Southern Africa, you know, the IRI, Institute of Republicans, you know, they came in and everything. Okay, by then we even had the Member of Parliament. So we were recognized in a very short period of time. And once you brought onto these various platforms of local and international organizations, when you sit there permanently. So meaning if we were to register another political party, we need to start the work all over again, you know, by the time you reach that recognition. There are many parties, like I've said, that were formed before NDC that are even now getting stronger now, or they are strong now, but they're not even a member of all those organizations that I've talked about. So a new party would mean going, I don't know how many years. And
in fact, I've always stated that if a thief comes to your house and steals a TV, and you hear him even watch the TV and celebrate when people score, do you buy a new TV, or you go to the police and ensure that your TV is returned?
Go to the police,
you cannot legitimize theft just because you can buy a new TV. So I think forming a political party, decamping, for example, from the Patriotic Front, would be giving legitimacy to the thieves who have come to steal your party. And you'll have created precedent that a ruling party can walk in, you know, storm your political party and steal it from you and legitimize it. It is clear. Some have said President Hakainde Hichilema is using the blueprint of Rwanda, where, you know, opposition is harassed, and there is literally a de facto one-party state. And President Hakainde Hichilema seems to be moving into that direction. If we go to elections now, where you put the PF in disarray, you know, which is supposed to be the largest opposition, it will literally be a de facto political party. And also, because of his failures his promises, his electoral campaign promises, and his failure to attend the economy. I think he's fearing 2026. So he wants you all weekend. Everybody monatio savoy be munavosa na our PF. The PF could try me Paris Savoy. That's why they've come with a hammer on you. So your reflections on just this, just general attack on democracy and attempt to make Zambia a one-party state.
Yeah. That, first of all, cannot happen and should not happen. And for me, this is advice I normally give privately, but today I'll give it publicly, but I won't get into details, okay? Number one, people always say that even in terms of the opposition, they're saying, the opposition needs to organize. Where is that one person? Because they used in the past would have like maybe the one main opposition, okay? They would have a SATA, they would have an HH. So they were saying, no, the opposition is like whatever. So I've been telling them to say, dynamics change over time. Yeah. If you look at a lot of countries in this world today, Germany inclusive, which is a European country, you can't, no one party can win elections. Alone, they can't, no. No wonder they have this grand coalition of Germany. We saw it also in Kenya, where you even had collisions of collisions, so many parties are forming all these alliances and everything. Malawi also, even Zambia itself, if you look at 2021.
We may be moving there.
Yeah, so we are moving there as Zambia to a point whereby it's very difficult right now for any one political party to form government. And also, having one person and take to the public and say, this is a person we're fielding as opposition in 2026, it'll be very risky. Because this autocratic government will go after that person, So it should be strategic not to even make them know to say, this is the person that we want. So the opposition should come together. And when you have, for example, a group of opposition political parties, let's say 10, maybe they come after PF, they bring their so-called Mausamp. They come after NDC, they bring whoever they want to bring. If you have 10 political parties and they hammer, let's say 4 or 5, they won't manage to hammer all 10. You get the point? And even if they were to manage to hammer all 10, you can still call another party, because Zambia's got over 6 registered political parties. Yes, you can bring somebody and you stand on a party. But as you do all those things, you sell out an alliance name. So come 2024, by now there should be an alliance name that we should be selling.
Okay.
Yes, so that alliance name, because under a normal government, you can even register an alliance name, But whether the alliance name will be registered or not, if the UPND is going to play their politics within that alliance, if we sell an alliance name, it does not matter whose party will be hit or not. By 2026, we can stand on any political party. So it can even be the smallest party on the alliance. You can even get 3 or 4 and you stand on there. But with that also, you hold on to the PF. Because even people know. They can bring in all sorts of people and say, this is the PF. People always know where certain faces are to say, this is a real PF. So let them do whatever it is that they want to do. And like I have said, I have a detailed plan of this in my head. Which I can't share publicly.
Not general sales or speak strategies to the members of the public.
Exactly,
As political parties led by women, you held a meeting, a press conference, at which you criticized the actions of NGOCC.
Yes.
This is after the Speaker of the National Assembly had recognized and made changes against the leadership of the opposition. She removed Honorable Brian Munduwila as leader of the opposition and Stephen Kampiongo as chief whip, and imposed them with these 2 names from Mr. Mausampa, who the entire country knew had held an illegal meeting.
Exactly.
Who the entire country knew was that the PF hadn't gone to conference. The entire country knew Mausampa was not PF president. So the Speaker was roundly condemned for that action. First, it was unconstitutional. 2, office bearers had not changed at the Registrar of Societies. Thirdly, I think she should have allowed for matters to conclude in courts of law before she could effect changes. So then we saw NGOCC rise and say, you rise against one woman, you rise against all of us.
Imagine.
And you women political parties, you Honorable Shalakateka, Honorable Edith Nawakwi and others held a press conference to tell off NGOCC. In fact, you went to the extent of calling that cooperating partners should not fund them. Why such a strong stance?
That strong stance was because a lot of things have been going on, against women in the country, and NGOCC had been very quiet on all the issues, And also we felt that anybody that is interested in the governance of this country can see that what is going on at Parliament is very unconstitutional and not right. There is no one who can support what is going on at Parliament. So for NGOCC to have stood up and gone to Parliament and did what they did, we just said, you know what, this we're not going to allow. And there are certain things which happen whereby you don't even have to wait for somebody to do another mistake in relation to that. We said the mistake or the action of the NGOCC is too grave, to let go like that. So no wonder we convened. We just said, you know what, let's come together and make a strong statement. And we did that. And after that meeting, by the way, the NGOCC called us to have a meeting with them, but we told them to say the manner in which they called us was not okay, because they called for a meeting and they called everybody else. So he said, no, as presidents, we're going to have another meeting on our own, and then afterwards, so we allowed our SGs just to go there and go hear what they wanted to say. But as presidents, all three of us did not go there. And they apologized, They apologized. Okay. They said what they did was wrong, they didn't know, blah, blah, blah.
Well, they apologized publicly.
Exactly.
Because we are not aware.
Can you imagine that? Yes. So those are the issues that also we have been telling them and our members to say, we need this apology, first of all, to be made public.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they were told to say, every time, NGOCC is a member organization. You didn't call us as members. So next time you do solidarity with anybody, inform us. And they were saying, no, in fact, we have stopped.
And in the same week, it emerged,
Yes.
Our lawyers went to court, retrieved documents from the office, the registrar's office, that demonstrated that the action by the speaker were illegal because the changes had not occurred at the, of office bearers for the Patriotic Front. Therefore, on what basis was our action? And the decision by the registrar of societies to respond to a court process and submit, through subpoena, the document to court, and literally a constructive dismissal. Because the same day she was removed, subjected to police processes, and she was removed from office. NGOCC were quiet.
Exactly.
If a woman had been treated and injured in the manner that the chief registrar had been treated, we expected NGOCs to rise to the defense the way they did to Madam Nelly Muti.
Exactly.
But they were tone silent, tone deaf,
Yeah, and that's the problem that we have right now, because most of these people are job seekers. They want to please the government so that they get into government and have all these jobs that they want. And for me also, that's the biggest problem that we have right now, because a long time ago, we would have these low numbers of women in parliament. We've always had low numbers as Zambians, but we had a strong women's movement outside, and it always protected what was going on in parliament. I normally give an example myself to say, I remember the fight between Arabi and Stella Grillo, who was the NGOCC chairperson by then, over the anti-GBV Act. I have no idea why President Arabi didn't like it, So he wanted, he never wanted the act, but the women's movement outside, they made sure it was enacted. And the president had to concede, So in as much as the women MPs could have been defeated in parliament, the women's movement was there. And that's one thing that we've always loved about the women's movement in this country, And that's even the reason why we convened. And by the way, following the presser that we had, we formed a group, we talk regularly, and even yesterday we had a meeting. So we're having some private meetings. Yes, exactly. So we are doing so much
that kind of grouping is arising because I think civil society is at its weakest.
Yes.
I think after elections of 2021, we've seen the entire civil society, either they are aligning themselves with government, or they are just in a state of paralysis.
Yes.
And that's why we have to bemoan the low numbers of women in parliament. I think it's the lowest.
It's the lowest
since 1991.
Yes, it is, actually.
And President Hakainde Hichilema has not helped matters. Yes. Look at the number of ministers he has out of 26. I think he only has under 5 women as ministers. He should have even used a hand of nomination.
Yes. That's
what should be done to strengthen civil society and then women participation in politics?
Well, what should be done amongst the things, stakeholders, meeting like what we are doing right now, because we are saying what exactly should we do, because civil society has been weakened and everything. And the sad part, Ambassador, is that just women participation, the African average is 25%, 25%, and Zambia is at 12%.
Wow.
So meaning that we are so much below even the African percentage, Southern African region, we should be second last or the very least in terms of women political participation. And yet when it comes to the ratification of conventions like CEDAW, we're amongst the first. Last time I even gave an example of Malawi and us, only because Malawi signed CEDAW much later than us. Malawi would say, for us, we are so cultural in terms of our practices. We're a polygamous nation. They would go there and they say, because of this, we don't want to sign this women's rights convention. So they delayed. But Zambia there and then we ratified CEDAW without reservations for that matter. So meaning that all the articles of CEDAW, we are party to that. Then we come back home and we don't domesticate the convention first and foremost. And then a good part of what we domesticated using the Gender Equity and Equality Act, we still don't implement them, So with that, you find that even some laws which are sufficient enough to help us as women in the country are not really being implemented. So civil society, we should be in the forefront of doing all those things and not doing that. Because for them now, what they want is to go into office, And the money which comes in for women political participation, a good part of it goes through Ministry of Finance and they channel that to NGOCC, So it's not just an NGO, it's an NGO that actually gets money for women political participation. So they need to do the right thing, So no wonder as women now we say, what, enough is enough. If you, the people that get money on behalf of women political participation, are doing this, then I don't know what it is that we're going to achieve as women, And having come from an NGO background myself, Ambassador, I know for a fact that when NGOs are implementing projects, they always say that real empowerment should come from the people, So when you're doing a project, you have to engage the people and everything. But the funny thing, Ambassador, is that when it comes to women political participation, all projects have a
man at the top.
a top-bottom approach. It's a thing whereby you don't really engage the women politicians, And when money comes in, they say, we don't deal with political parties directly. And you're thinking, we've got candidates that are standing. How then do you not involve yourselves directly with political parties? Because it's political parties that are the nominators of who stands. You get the point? So there's that.
No, I think there's a lot of patriarchal issues even in political parties.
Exactly.
Because, in fact, it starts from home. If the parties, political parties, could allow, for example, a third or half their members that are standing to be women, you'll have a lot of human resource then in parliament to work from. So I think the work should start with political parties.
It should,
political parties adopt very few women to stand. And the environment of politics is extremely hostile. Speak to that.
Yes, and also
why I'm saying that is you've been a victim of bullying, cyberbullying by the UPND. Because you are very strong, you are a very strong critic of President Hakainde Hichilema. Sometimes they come to your page, and literally abuse you, and sometimes you've spoken about that. It may discourage a lot of other women from participating because they fear that they'll be abused, they'll be called names.
Exactly.
What advice can you give?
Well, advice I can give is that, first of all, the women should be very strong. The issue of patriarchy that you alluded to is very strong in this country, and we have to fight it tooth and nail, So the cyberbullying that you see, especially against women politicians, that just reflects the kind of society that we come from. We see people being very comfortable insulting women. Just on the same women's group that I told you about, Mama Chikamoneka shared some voice notes just yesterday of these two young, can insult her, none of us is safe, you get the point. On my page, I have to really block a good number of people on a daily basis, So that, I think, for me, is very sad in a country which is already technologically savvy and able to detect these numbers. When somebody insults the president, for example, they'll fish them out within a day or two. But if it's another person, they won't really do that. There was a time when the Electoral Commission of Namibia and the Gender Commission of South Africa came through, and we're meeting up with them, with NGOCC and a good number of MPs and everything. And I remember the people from Namibia were sharing to say, there's no cyberbullying of women in Namibia. You know, so we asked them to say, what really have you done?
Yes.
Yes, and they were like, the reason it's like that is that all SIM cards are registered. So if anybody insults on Facebook, they are found and they are prosecuted. And then I was like, wait a minute. Zambian SIM cards are registered as well. You get the point, So what they have used to stop cyberbullying in Namibia is already what we have in this country. So meaning that if the law enforcement agencies were interested enough in stopping cyberbullying, they would do that, you know. But because they are not, they only don't want cyberbullying against the president. Yes, only. Yes. Anybody else,
they allow it.
They allow it, you know.
You called out and you called out to President Hakainde Hichilema. Tuko is pressing us in to put them to order.
Yes, exactly.
He's been very silent. Does he approve it?
He certainly approves it. Because if he did not approve it, he wouldn't allow it. We've seen that these days, even just a simple action, the president has to say, oh, IG, do this, oh, this and that, do that. Why can't the IG just act on his own? The
two gentlemen you cited that were abusing Mama Chikamoneka, Mr. Grounds and the so-called Chama America, were very abusive to President Hakainde Hichilema. And to see the UPND who are working with our brother Mal Sampa, allow those two boys now just change and turn the guns against his opponents, and they are watching is totally unacceptable. I just saw some of the videos where they were insulting the entire Eastern Province, you know, issuing things that should not even be said on air, on radio. And I hope that someone can report them to the police to test the law if we are really serious about, you know, hate speech and tribal talk. We will begin to wind up. The state of the economy, I think, lastly, is what we should talk about and what you think should be the solutions, because it affects women most. You know, it's women that run our homes. They are with our children. And with the hostile environment of our economy, the impact must be extremely negative for especially the women and children. What are we doing wrong? Maybe to pay me one, my fellow may not to feel.
Now feel bad. Now feel a bad kind, you know. So really, if you look at the state of the economy, everything starts with the Republican president as the leader of the team. Has put a competent team, you know, so he's failing and they are failing. And our economy is also failing, you know.
In fact, there's a statement that says the president is as good as his aides.
So if you look at the people that have surrounded him, really, you know, he's a person that wants to control everything and everybody, and you can't do that. So once you have people, every time when you're in a room and everybody you sit with, you know, so the state of the economy right now, it's such a sad state of affairs. And like they say, in fact, Arab used to use this word that my numbers is here now. Numbers don't lie, you know. So they can do whatever it is they want to do. They can lie, they can do their propaganda. But number one, we are seeing the exchange rates, you know.
Inflation rate.
Yes.
Then the prices of essential
commodities, you know. Just for you to go into a shop and buy one or two things. You know, I've been a victim of I don't know whether to call myself a victim or a culprit of telling the tailor to say, pendan one foot.
Yes,
you know, so I've done that twice. I was like, no, can you count again? You know, they did that. Same thing, I was just at a Rwanda's shop, I got very few things. 850. I was like, I'm banned for foot. And all those times when we had to redo it, they were right and not me. So I just realized, you know, things are just too expensive. So no matter what they do, it's a person out there who goes to buy something, who knows to say, things were like this just a few months ago, and this time they're like this. So the UPND has to be very serious in terms of how they are running the economy, and they need to be just very serious about it. There are simple issues like, let's say, the social sector and the economic sectors that they need to prioritize here and there. we have seen how they've messed up the agricultural sector. You know, from a so-called farmer, those are the things that he was promising, especially people in Eastern Province. That was the slogan. Then he comes in and he has the worst agricultural policies ever. By September, October, they were still cancelling procurement contracts. The delivery of seed and fertilizer is always late, and the sacks are fewer. You know, so you know, just looking at what happened, the mess which happened this year, you know that the mess will be the same as it was last year. And yet, agriculture is a new god. Look at Zambia, where we are. A long time ago, we used to say that we were landlocked, and now we say we are land-linked. So the fact that we're in between all these other countries, we should take advantage of that. What is it that we can sell to all these other countries? You know, so all those things are not happening, you know. Mining. You know, God has really blessed us, you know. Sata used to say God is not making any more land, and he really isn't. We have so many minerals. We never even knew that we had switchlights. We didn't even know what switchlights was, you know. I remember a friend of mine had a mine in a northern province, and she's the one that started talking to me about switchlights. I had no idea what switchlights was. By the time now it's leaked and all those kind of about the point. So it's very, very shocking that we can have so many of these minerals, you know. Right now in Kalomo, Southern Province, there's lithium, which is being mined, and everything illegally. So they should prioritize the issues of what is this, mining, agriculture. You know, we make money, and once you make money from these economic sectors, and then now you are able now to spend on the social sectors. Because social sectors, in as much as we need health and education, and we should prioritize them, because you need a healthy population, you need an educated population, you don't see results until after a long time. You are investing in a child that has to grow up and leave school and everything. So you need to make money to ensure that money is being invested in building schools, in making a desk, in you know, buying books and everything. So the UPND is doing things the other way around, you know, whereby their priorities are all over the place, you know. So that is why we're having all these problems, because we have a government that is not really sitting down and prioritizing what should we do first before we do this and with that, trust me, things will keep on going badly the way they are going. And lastly, also, they don't want to listen, because there are many people in this country that are experts, you know. I always give an example.
What are your hopes for 2024?
2024, I hope that the government have actually made these guys reverse a good number of things. You get the point. Even when it came to appointment, just when they formed government and everything, because they fired too many experts. They come in and they want to fire everybody, and they bring in new people, so that what is this institutional memory and lost. Everything is really lost, and now they don't know what to do. So my hopes for 2024 is to see the UPND take a different approach. We are not enemies, you know. We just have different political parties, ideologies, and aspirations for this country. All of us, we make our constitutions and our manifestos based on what we want to see different and better for our country. Yes. So the process by which we have these differences and aspirations to do better for our country should not make us enemies. If your approach is better, well and good, the people vote for you and you'll be in charge and everything. And even when we're in charge, we can still come in and say, okay, even when it comes to this, why don't you do A, B, C, D? That should just be the process. So I hope there'll be better politics, because for me, I feel that the UPND is failing with the economy because they're failing with the politics. You can't manage the economy alone. You have to involve others, be it your team, be it other political parties and everything. And once they do that, then things will definitely be better for all of us.
Thank you very much. A friend of mine said, Savoy ni Mwamuna. So, Mr. President, thank you for your courage. The nation does recognize. I'm calling you Mr. President because my friend said, Savoy ni Mwamuna, Savoy. Because you have men that can speak out. They're afraid to say. And you've staked literally your life, you know, for the service of this country. So thank you very much for joining us on the conversation. And to our dear viewers, thank you very much for joining us on the Conversation podcast. Join us next time with another guest or another set.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm running a campaign of hitting 10,000 subscribers within 10 solid days. And I am on number day 2 as of today. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please, I ask and request that you subscribe to my channel to make that 10,000 campaign possible, because I just can't do this without you. Thank you for showing up on my video, and make sure you subscribe to my channel, and make sure you comment on my video, make sure you share my video, and make sure you like my video, because I'm gonna see you in the next video.